Jared,
How you doing, Brandon?
great. Great to have you.
Yeah, glad to be back.
We're finally on round two with everybody, but I feel like we're probably 2 months since the last time we connected on this, so should have a good amount for us to go over. I'm excited to jump in.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
Okay, man. Well, let's just jump right in. No
Cool.
need to keep the people waiting. So, first things, and I've been asking this. I met with Aaron a couple weeks ago where we talked a little bit more on platform and redo record on all of those pieces. And so coming out of that conversation on the email and SMS front and everything that you're building, can you walk through specifically how you're building in a way that cohesively works with all of the other products that Redo's also building at the same time?
Yeah, for sure. With email and SMS, I think it's actually pretty intuitive for most people. Just because if you go look at if somebody's on another platform, it's likely that they've integrated a whole bunch of apps into that ESP, right? And so usually those integrations are like triggering emails, triggering texts, that kind of stuff. So at the most basic level, I'll just say like all of that's native. We make sure that when a return is going out or whatever, you're leveraging the full like infrastructure of our email platform. For all of those events, you have all of the context of the return passed through it. So you don't have this integration layer for a lot of things. But going a little bit deeper, I know we'll talk about AI later, so I'm actually going to kind of table that and just talk about some of the more um, traditional software functions. Another thing is just segmentation. I think there's so many Redo merchants who use returns, so I'm gonna kind of anchor on that example because I think it'll be relevant for more people. Segmenting on returns data. We've had brands use this to remove unprofitable customers from their email and SMS campaigns, which it saves them money on the sends in the marketing platform, but the bigger thing is that they're not continuously marketing to and giving discounts to people who just lose the money. The other thing that's nice about that is you can integrate those segments to Google and Meta and make your paid media more efficient as well. So we see a lot of folks doing that. And then the other things are like a lot of times there's a product that gets frequently returned for some reason, but it's a bestseller. So we see brands make adjustments, changes, fixes to their products, and then they want to go back to everybody who might have had a negative experience with the first one and kind of bring them back in. And then you get into things like, these are they're kind of like beta versions, early days, but like reviews. In our reviews product, we don't send review requests to people who've submitted a return. For loyalty, which is very, very early on, it's set up so that the ledger ties out completely. You don't get the revenue leakage where I buy something, I get points. Say I buy a $2,000 order, I get a bunch of points, I get something for free, and I return the $2,000 order for a refund and it doesn't tie back. Like all of that's kind of solved too. So those are all just like native things, or like when somebody responds to marketing, getting the messages back into your support product in Redo, and kind of being able to respond to everybody in one place. There's just a lot of small things through the whole product like that.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. It feels like just keeping lists very clean, who you're sending to, being very intentional with who it's going to, being able to exclude people that previously maybe you weren't able to. Just one more, like a deeper question on that. As you look at product roadmap and you evaluate what your team is working on over the course of the month and the year, how much are you thinking about other products at the same time as you put together your own product roadmap? And like, how does that tie into your specific future?
Yeah, quite a bit. I think one example of this, and hopefully I'm not being too preemptive about it, but something that ties into a lot of Redo products, just because we have order tracking on the marketing side, the order management system, people are doing their outbound shipping, you have support, people reaching out. We do a lot of stuff in the checkout with checkout optimization. So one product that touches kind of all four of those areas is giving somebody the ability to edit their order. So like
Yeah.
I just moved recently and I have sent multiple packages to my old house. I feel like an idiot every time because usually I like place the order and then I see my old address and I'm like my wife was getting mad at me about it last night because I just did it again. And like that's just so synergistic with so many different products that like the four GMs that are kind of involved in that, we've worked together to just build an order editing product that's shared across all of them. And the plan right now is it's not going to cost anything if you're using order tracking. You get order editing too. You know, again, it works well because you can do that on the thank you page in Shopify. If you noticed it when you opened your confirmation email and went to the tracking page, you can also change it there is the idea, right? So any of these areas, or if you chat into support, the AI can help you update your order there. Just making sure that that experience is consistent across all of them. That's maybe a lot of a new build and a collaborative effort, but I just met with another GM this morning, working through. Sure, there's a few like things that are better about order tracking. If you're using an order management system, we have more direct access to the data and stuff, and so we're working on ensuring those play nicely together. So it's pretty constant. We all of the GMs were meeting at least weekly together. Usually, a huge portion of that conversation is the overlapping elements of the roadmap that we need to make work well together.
Awesome. I love that. I think we were talking to Suze just last week
Cool.
about something similar where it's about like the immediate sync that they have with the order management and fulfillment system that she's building that goes back into Shopify that allows you to have a better idea internally on when orders can and can't be edited, right? Like if
Yeah.
it's already fulfilled and you're out, then having that real-time sync is extremely important to be able to provide the right experience. And so if you can do that on the order tracking page with a real-time sync with the OMS, then like things become very smooth, both for you as a merchant and for your end user, which is a very cool experience.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about there's a lot. Again, we'll save the AI conversation for later. That's a
Sounds
huge
good.
part of this, and probably where the roadmaps overlap the most. But in terms of just regular, typical software functions, it's still pretty exciting.
Amazing. We're teed up nicely for the final question as we talk about future and AI. But before we get there, very top of mind for everybody right now in the industry,
Yep.
heading now into November, starting on Saturday. And so as people get like very, very down to the wire for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, just share a couple of thoughts on the email and SMS side. I think there's a lot of stuff out there already, but just some unique stuff that you want to touch on. I know we had talked about it a little bit earlier, so jump in.
Yeah, I will. I mean, maybe I'll touch on some of the things that are already out there. There's a blog post from like including us, like probably like everybody in the world about your Black Friday Cyber Monday checklist and what probably I bet everybody this year just got on Chat GPT and was like, hey, what's my email and SMS Black Friday checklist? And it's probably pretty good. A couple of things that I've seen missed on a lot of them though that I think are really important for this year. One of those is you're updating your DNS record. So this is like very unsexy, but I can't tell you how many people we onboard onto email and SMS on Redo, and we go look, and they like haven't been in their domain provider for like 5+ years. They just set it up when they originally set up their ESP and never changed it. Like Microsoft made some pretty big changes just a few months ago where, not to get like too technical, but on SPF alignment in your DNS records, we frequently see people who haven't updated that. And it basically means that your emails are not making it to Microsoft inboxes if you haven't done that. So for anybody listening, if you haven't looked at your DNS records in a while, like do it, regardless of whether you're on Redo or another platform. We do make a pretty big point on our post sales side to look at everybody's DNS records and reach out if there are any updates that need to be made. But you're also welcome to proactively reach out to us to fix that. There's a lot of table stakes stuff, like I mentioned, like updating your pop-ups, making sure your website's fast, making sure you've got like really dialed in order tracking, especially where carriers lose a lot of packages during the holidays and people are like hyper worried about when their stuff is coming. I'm just using like Shopify defaults for order tracking is not ideal for that. But the other thing that's I think maybe more impactful, it does get into the AI conversation a little bit. So I apologize.
No, you're good. We'll
Um,
transition that way right after this anyway. So
okay,
you're all
so
set.
for Black Friday, we all know that everybody's going to send like 10 times as many emails and texts and everything. Google Ads gets bid up and Meta, and everybody has all their campaigns planned, and they should. But then it always raises the question of how can you stand out? How is your content different? There are some ways to do that. Some brands we've run like split tests on MMS versus SMS example if they're doing a lot of SMS. For some people that's impactful. For some people it's not. but obviously anybody could do that if they're willing to like spend a little bit more on a campaign to see if it performs. I think the more interesting thing this year is how relevant can you make your messages? So like our one-to-one AI that we've been testing a lot and are starting to expand significantly is one way, especially if you use multiple redo products, that we take the context of everything we know about the customer and actually let the AI write an individual message. And this is subtle because as the shopper, it's not personalized in like a creepy way. It's not like, hey, Brandon, like you've been on the site 10 times in the last couple of weeks. Like what's holding you back? It's not weird like that. It's just increasing the relevance of that message. So it might even look to you as the consumer like it was a mass message that went out to everybody, but it's specifically referencing the products that you're interested in or is touching on an upsell because you returned an item that you didn't like the color of. Like it's just way more relevant. And we've had extremely positive results on A/B tests we've been running. We've been refining it and getting the win rate very, very high, even relative to the last time that we spoke. So I think sending individual one-to-one messages is one of the biggest ways that you can be different because most people, like I don't even know if you can do that or not in most email and SMS platforms. And so if you want your messages to not be the same as everybody else's, that is one of the best ways to do it this year.
We had talked a little bit about some of the metrics that's coming from that and the success stories. Maybe we head that direction and just continue
Okay.
talking about what has changed in the one-to-one SMS space, just because we talked a lot about that when we met 2 months ago. And it was earlier on, there was one motion
Yep.
that we were doing in abandoned carts. Like, I know there's a lot that you and the team have put into it. And so I'm curious to hear what are like the wins that are coming from it with merchants that are using it. How are they using it? Because I agree with you. And I don't do a lot of transactions via SMS marketing if I get it. But
Yeah.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday, consumer behavior changes, like things are different. And I'm expecting to be followed up with more aggressively by people that I'm browsing and deals that I'm expecting to potentially take advantage of. And so I, as a consumer, am more prone to respond and react on an SMS message during Black Friday, Cyber Monday because I am deal hunting than I
Yep.
am in other times of the year. And so being able to capitalize on that is a huge lever. And so I'll let you kind of take over and talk through a little bit more on what has changed and how people are winning with it.
Totally. So one thing that hasn't changed just yet that's about to, we're actually very deep in the work on this right now, and we're excited to roll it out, is we have kept it right now to abandonments. So browse, cart, and checkout abandons. They are the highest intent places to send them. So they are very impactful. But I'll give you some examples. It was actually last week I looked at like, okay, what are the most recent A/B tests that we've like concluded? And there were four of them that had just gotten up at the time. A board game company that found a 13% conversion increase, and that was the smallest lift that we saw. The next three were apparel companies. One is men's and women's apparel. The other two are just women's. The men's and women's one was an 80% conversion increase, and revenue increase was the same. And I mean that's massive. They do enough volume that's like it's actually like thousands and thousands of dollars for them, which was cool. The next best one was a like 175% increase, almost double the revenue in their abandonments. Also enough volume to be very meaningful to that business. And then the third one was it was like barely under, but it was about triple um, the conversion in revenue. So it's not like making the message more relevant to the end shopper. I thought it would improve results. Now I'll get into some of the changes we've made that have helped us be more consistent at helping brands win these tests. But the conversion difference is pretty dramatic. And I think part of it is like there's a brand I shop with a lot. They use Redo. I love them to death. And I look at my text history with them and it's like, hey, Jared, like it's so and so here at the brand, like you left this item in your cart. And then I look at the next message, the exact same template, exact same template, exact same template. And I'm on their site enough. I just have like 10 of them in a row. And like that message doesn't do anything. It's not helpful. If it was like, hey, Jared, like you've looked at the sweater a few different times, like, can I help you?
Right.
Like I might have some questions or something. It's just a very different approach.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. We want to feel like someone is actually helping us. And I feel like we're almost trained over the past little while to try and sniff out automation and like realize
Yeah.
when something is just a bulk send and we kind of like disregard it rather quickly if we can scan it and realize like, hey, that's just sent out to however many thousands of people. And but if it's something that does feel relevant, hey, Jared, you bought this 2 weeks ago, this would go well with it, or you've looked at this a couple different times, like what's holding you back this time from making the purchase or something, then a lot more likely to read that and engage with it. And it can just be like a little change that our like I will actually read that's different, that can make a huge difference. And so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to work through and make it work, but it's good. A couple of things I don't know if any of the listeners are using the AI SMS. A lot of people are right now. A few things that are different from the last time we spoke are basically ways to help tailor the messages even better. So we now have the ability to basically like and dislike messages in a preview view, scroll through a bunch of them. You can filter. So if you want to see, like, I only want to see people who've purchased recently or who've looked at a product but not purchased, or people who have exchanged for something else, people who've submitted a return, like whatever those filters are, you want to see how it's phrasing the message for different people. You can save good examples and say why you liked them, or remove bad examples, and it actually trains the AI to be better. So that has been a huge difference maker. So a couple other things. I mean, we're adding more strategies. So if you want to use social proof to sell the product, if you have unique information that makes your products better than competitors, use that and let the AI use that to authoritatively sell. Quite a few things to make that experience better.
Very cool. Very cool. We've talked a bit about, I guess, what you have built. I'm very excited to jump in and I don't want to take too much more time, but
Uh,
about what you're planning on for next year. Like by the time we meet again, it might be early January. We might be kicking off 2026. This has been, I'm sure, a huge learning year for you as you've gone 0 to 1 on email and SMS and building everything. But I'm very curious on what plans are for next year and what like makes you so excited to continue pushing.
yeah, for me, the biggest thing is like, okay, we've been talking about this idea of the redo record for a little while. Like one place you have all of the context, positive and negative signals from the shopper on what they like and dislike. That finally, like, that exists. And I think the thing that most of our merchants have been wanting to see next is like, okay, but how is it applied well? And what does it actually get me on the other side? And that's what we've been really trying to figure out with these SMS tests. And we've found something that works and a playbook that works. And the cool thing is, since the last time we spoke, Brandon, we actually created a generic structure for this concept of letting an AI use a strategy to sell a product. Right now, you as the marketer select what strategy you want it to use in whatever context you're in. And we're going to expand that across, like I said, everywhere in SMS. So this will go, if you want your welcome message to be tailored to everybody, it still include a discount and everything. But if you want it to like be different for you than it is for me based on what our behavior has been, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do that on the campaign level. So if I'm sending out a campaign, I could tell the AI like, hey, if this isn't relevant for the person I'm sending to, like, make it different. Use whatever strategy. So we're going to be applying that across all of SMS. That's what's happening right now. We're also working on putting that into email.
Very
Emails are
cool.
a little bit more complex, so we're going to start with fine-tuned controls, I think, around like subject lines and body copy and what the AI can do in those areas. But I think we'll get into generating entire emails and using an asset library to make sure it stays on brand. The LLMs and even some of the image generation stuff is actually getting to the point where it can follow strict instructions and get a consistent result. So the reality is, like, we're going to apply, first of all, the highly converting strategies. We're going to make them available across the entire product so that anytime you send a message, that message, if you want it to be, can be tailored individually to every shopper. And then step two with that is, once we apply that across everything, which again is what we're literally working on today, you can add another layer, which is an agent that's looking at the customer record. Let's say when someone abandons carts, we've been talking about that example, someone abandons cart, it can look at it and say, okay, like, Jared's a cheapskate. Um, and he's like, never buys anything anywhere without using a discount. So I've been given the option as the AI to use a discounting strategy. So for Jared, I'm going to make my own abandoned cart flow for him. And the strategy is going to be creating some urgency and like giving him a discount to buy. But when you abandon cart, Brandon, discounts don't matter as much. You know what you want. You're more worried about the quality of the product or whatever it is. And so the AI is going to know that, and it's going to create its own strategy and its own path for you that's going to look different. So it'll pick the one that works best for the shopper. And then the cool part that we're working on right now is the feedback loop the AI gets. Once you had a statistically significant number of conversions with these different strategies and with the agent that's orchestrating them, you create the positive feedback loop and you say like, hey, these are the conversions and the messages and the things that have worked best. Let's now upgrade the prompt and make sure that we're following that. And that'll be kind of a continuous part of the product.
I love it. I think what's very interesting about that is the learnings can happen significantly faster as well for anything that you're doing in email and SMS, right? But that's going to translate over to the messaging that you have on the site, the way that you develop your products, the way that you basically run your business
Oh yeah.
becomes a lot more agile as you can do testing at a higher rate. You can learn what users respond to and what they don't respond to. Very exciting. It gets very exciting.
It's cool. It won't just be the marketing platform. You're totally right. It's like how you measure intent on the website and what offers you give people there and how the exchange agent picks like the best possible option in returns, all of it.
Right. You had mentioned like checkout optimization is another piece where it's like if my big hang up seems to be shipping and like I get sticker shock every time I go to a checkout and shipping is above a certain rate, like AI is going to be able to pick that up and then adjust shipping prices to make sure that I still convert. Just very unique experiences that you can give individuals and learnings that you can have like at an individual level. I think is going to be a huge unlock for like all Reedy merchants and everything that we're doing across each of the GMs. I'm very excited to see how that kind of comes to fruition through 2026. Amazing stuff, Jared. Really excited about what you and the team are building. Anything else that you have for today or that you are excited to share with the group before we wrap up?
Let's see. I took a few notes. There's always more that we could talk about for prepping for Black Friday. I know I went really quickly, but I think those are probably the best call outs. So we can call it a day.
Okay, amazing. Appreciate you jumping on, sharing some knowledge, getting us excited about what you're building right now and what's coming in 2026. So we'll sync up again in a couple of weeks. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Brandon.
All right, see ya.